regret everything. Hello everyone and welcome to an Anime Club After Dark special. My name is Alex, but you can call me Senpai, and joining me tonight I have our Chivalry of Shota's Shotaro.
The rumors are indeed trumors.
I'm not even gonna ask and just say welcome to episode 10 of our Sarazanmai episode reviews. The show's getting real, man. The show's getting real deep. And we only have one episode to go after this, so we're also getting towards the end here. So, the one thing I want to start out talking about with this episode, after everything that happened last time, is we find out that the otter scientist leader, whatever thing he's supposed to be, he gave Reo a condition for resurrecting Babu.
Yeah, that's what the episode starts with.
Yeah, that's what the lead-in starts with. But we're not actually told what it is. We're just told that there is a condition.
It's just like, oh, what could it be? Yeah, exactly. I thought it was interesting. I was interested to know what it was.
It was certainly a very dramatic way to introduce that, for sure. Especially with the otter like having the crazy eyes right at the end, like, there's a condition. Look, I thought for a second I thought I was watching like an episode of Gurren Lagann or something with someone going crazy, because they had like the fucking, I don't even know what you call it, but anyway. Something else that we were revealed in this episode is that Babu and Reo are actually Kappa.
Who would have known?
Who could have guessed?
I guess that was racist of us to call them otter people.
I guess. So you just want to point out that I kept saying otter people this whole time?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to let you know.
You
need to watch your mouth.
No, you can fuck off. No, it was definitely a weird reveal. I didn't actually see that one coming, to be honest.
Well, they are good dancers, which means
that's true.
They've had experience with dancing, which means, all dancers are Kappa. I think that's the new conspiracy theory.
I guess. So I have a theory regarding this as to why they're trying to make Kappa Zombies. I have this theory that the whole thing between Babu and Reo is supposed to be about your desires getting out of control. And that's why they're creating Kappa Zombies, because they've sort of lost their way.
I mean, the canon reason is because the otter wants the desire power. Right?
Oh, I know. I'm just saying that I think that this is like the symbology of it is supposed to be about your desires getting away from you.
So you become like a giant silhouette who needs a good ass fucking.
Yes, that's exactly what. No, that's not what I mean at all. But I'm just talking about this whole symbology about, if you let your desires take over you, you become the opposite of what you're actually trying to be.
Oh, I see what you're saying. That's interesting.
Because they are Kappas, but they're not acting like Kappas because they're working against them, because they've let their desires take over each other.
That is more true than I'd like to admit, but yeah, that is pretty.
It hurts you to admit that I'm so right.
It's pretty insightful of you.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I like if that's truly what the symbology is supposed to be. It's genius, first off, but it's also been hinted at very, very subtly over the past 4 or 5 episodes. Very well, if that's the case.
I don't see the hinting, but
anyway, I'm not even gonna. I can't dumb it down for you anymore.
Wow, yeah. So rude.
But no, I thought the way that was handled was very, very nice. I like the symbology of it, and I like the fact that it seems to be coming to a head between both of them. and it's sort of being intertwined with the story being told with the three main characters. It took them, long enough for these two characters to become important, but I think we mentioned that in the previous episode where it's like, all right, we're finally finding out about these people. What took you so long?
They're slow learners.
Exactly. And there's also that half-baked reference comes back in this episode as well.
So, okay, I don't know about you, but when Reo called Mabu a half-baked doll, that made it like concrete that the whole half-baked sort of shtick that's been going on for the last few episodes has all been in reference to Mabu being a fake. And that's why that's the whole half-baked thing. So
I mean, yeah, he even in this episode uses the word a fake, a nisemono.
Yep. So I thought that was a realization for me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great way using dialogue to bring this all together. At least I thought it was. Especially because we keep having that phrase come back up over and over again, half-baked, half-baked, half-baked.
Yeah, and
then using it in combination with the word nisemono.
Mm-hmm. It's been so out of context before, but now he like physically, directly states it, so it all comes together.
It was, yeah. And it's almost, it's like we've said in the past, like these things, they seem so random at first, and then you give it a couple episodes and it's like, oh, that's what they meant.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
I love this kind of storytelling. I hate to keep using this term because we've used it so many times throughout the course of these reviews, but it's very Monogatari-esque, and I think that's what I like about it so much.
I wouldn't say it parallels Monogatari in that sense, because I don't think Monogatari does what we just described, doing something really strange and then explaining it later. Monogatari just is strange all the time,
Well, yes, it is very, very strange all the time, but it does have this way of explaining plot points that are introduced very subtly in one point, like many episodes later, and it's like, oh, that's what they meant all the way back then.
Oh, I see what you mean. I like the chronology of the Monogatari series is very confusing, but it becomes more clear the more you watch.
Exactly. Yes, that's kind of what I meant. Yeah. And the pieces start to fall into place the more you watch. And it's kind of the same with this. The further along you get, it's like the pieces come into place like, oh, so that was actually, that scene was out of chronological order before. Okay, now I get it.
Yes, in the Monogatari series.
Yeah. And it's sort of that way in Sarazanmai as well. And it's why I appreciate it so much. Like, it takes writing talent to do shit like this.
I mean, it might be that Sarazanmai is shorter, but I feel like it's easier to follow Sarazanmai. Also because Monogatari relies a lot on dates. And it's really... I don't think that's a good way to do a reveal, because you don't really pay attention to dates and like calculate months and things, and it's a bit more confusing to follow along with Monogatari in my experience.
Yeah, especially over many, many iterations, which the Monogatari series has had. This is like an 11-episode series.
Yeah, the Monogatari is like 50 or something at this point.
50 episodes? Oh, no, honey, more than that.
Can't be that much more.
But anyway, enough about the Monogatari series.
Like we've said before, this is actually a Monogatari cast. Not that we've already done one before. But we actually have. I know.
But, and you should listen to that too. I would say that, well, we'll talk about this next episode because we're going to have a whole series wrap up in the next episode review that we do for the final episode. So let's keep going with this episode. So one of the things that happens is, after we find out that Mabu and Reo are Kappa, Reo meets with Kepi, and Kepi's with Enta and Kazuki, and they kind of go together to, I guess, the otter headquarters, I guess is the word for it.
I think they just went to the factory. They went back to the factory. I don't know what they call it.
I forget what they call it too. For some reason, the headquarters was the first thing that came to mind when I was writing all these notes down. It's like, I don't know if that's actually what they call it, but it's like the factory. It's like, we've been there before. That's the whole point. And they go on that giant elevator looking thing that Babu and Reo have been on since they were first introduced.
Oh my god.
When they're doing their little stripper dance.
I didn't realize that was in the factory, but okay.
Anyway, just reusing animation assets. It's all good. And so one of the things that we meet in this is we actually get to see Dark Kepi up close, and it's explained by Kepi himself exactly what Dark Kepi is supposed to be. And I was kind of right. In a way, he is like an anti-Kepi.
He is Kepi.
He's basically Kepi's desires and like the darker side of Kepi.
Sure. I forget the exact term they used.
I do too, and I slap me on the wrist for that. I don't know.
Oh my god.
But we basically find out that Kepi and Dark Kepi are two halves of one whole.
Yes.
And that they were split into during like the war between the otters and the Kappa.
I think he split it himself or something.
Oh yeah, he split it himself, and then Dark Kepi was captured by the otters.
Oh, Dark Kepi, such a sloppy gay.
You love using that term now, don't you? Sloppy gay.
That's
you used it last time.
Yep.
Is that your nickname now?
It's always been the nickname.
And so last time we were introduced to the idea that otters are concepts, and in this we also learned that otters are manifestations of desires, of human desires. Well, I guess not just human desires, just desires in general. And I kind of guessed that from before with the idea that otters are concepts, because desire is a concept. It's like desire isn't a physical thing you can put your hand on. It's an idea.
Okay, like when they did the Reo otter double, that was like his desire. It was a little confusing because like I'm like, oh, otters are desires, but then they said otters are concepts. So I'm like, I don't know if there's a translation malfunction.
Maybe it is something that's very difficult to translate.
But like I had assumed that otters were desires. That would make sense. But then they're like, otters are concepts. I'm like, oh, okay.
But desire itself is a concept. It's not a physical item that you could touch.
I know, but then why bother say that it's a concept? Why not just say they're desires?
Because they got to keep you coming back for the next episode.
No, that's just confusing. Anyway, we're for sure we know now that otters are desires, which is I think it's interesting, especially in the context of what we've been like doing this entire time. We've been like extracting desire. Yeah.
Exactly, and they're fighting against it. So like in real life, people have desires all the time, right? And some of these desires are, let's be kind and say they're negative desires. Like someone insults you, you might have this initial like reaction, I want to kill them. I have this desire to kill them. It's like, no, don't do that. That's not good. And you shouldn't do it. And it's like we have to fight. We as human beings have to fight against these desires all the time that we have. And in a sense, that's what they've been doing the whole time as Kappa. They've been helping people who, well, I say helping, but they have been fighting against people who have let their own desires take hold and control them.
It's just like side note that all the Kappa zombies, all their secrets are sexual. Which I thought,
they're like fetishes almost.
I thought that was strange because I'm like, not all secrets are sexual. Like there's like non-sexual secrets all the time. But then again, it also goes along with the theme of this show of sodomy.
Yeah.
that it would be sexual. Of course it's sexual.
Yeah. I don't know. I like the symbology that all this is coming to show. That, it's stuff that, like, desire is something you kind of have to fight against sometime because not all desires are good desires.
Yep. That's,
and there's always a danger of letting your desires take hold and become who you are, which is what I think that Reo and Babu are supposed to represent.
Oh my god, you're so smart. Decoding the true meaning behind Sarazanmai. No, I thought that's very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Something else that happened that we have to point out. So Dark Kepi goes up Inta's nose, which was an interesting thing to see. And we find out that Inta doesn't want to be Kazuki's boyfriend. Now, is that Inta actually saying that, or is that Dark Kepi actually telling Inta to say that?
No, the whole thing is like, Enta's desire is Kazuki, and Enta's like, I don't want it, so bye. So I don't know what Enta. I don't believe what this show is telling me, because if I know Enta, then he wants the D. So I don't really understand. I don't understand Enta anymore.
I mean, I don't blame you. I mean, it's not the easiest thing to understand.
What do you mean? What are you trying to say?
Well, basically what you're saying.
I still don't understand. Are you saying that you don't understand Enta?
Yes.
Okay, I thought you were saying you don't understand me, because I'm like,
no. I'm saying that
me.
I don't understand. I don't understand if this is Inta's desires or if this is Inta himself. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. There's so
either.
many questions I have.
Yeah.
And if like maybe Inta's supposed to be the ultimate self-doubter. I don't know.
One possibility is that Enda's like, if I know Kazuki, he would never want to go out with me, so it's not the real Kazuki.
Yeah,
Which
exactly.
is so sad, but I'm just gonna not accept that possibility and just question Enta's
I don't know.
existence.
And I was beginning to think maybe Inta is supposed to represent self-doubt, which is kind of why he keeps going back and forth with this. Like, I desire him, I don't desire him, I desire him, I don't desire him.
I mean, throughout the show, he's always desired him, so I don't
know. I'm just starting to see all this symbology come together, and I love it. Oh, okay. I don't know. I wanted to bring this up simply because I wanted to point out that Dark Kepi goes up Inta's nose, and it's funny.
I'm glad you find that funny.
I don't know why I find it funny, but I do. So something that does happen in this is Mabu is... I personally think that what happened is he's essentially asked to commit suicide by the otter scientist leader person. And so he falls down the little shaft into where Dark Kepi actually is, and he becomes a Kappa zombie.
Before he goes in, he's like, if I can't, or something along the lines of, if I can't be with a Rayo, let me at least have this selfish wish. So I think he kills... I mean, we figure out later on why he kills himself, because he wants the... But yeah, so let's just... So what happens at that point?
We'll get there.
Alex?
We'll get there in just a moment. Reo basically, when Mabu turns into this Kappa zombie, is like Reo transforms into his like Kappa form to fight the Kappa zombie that Mabu has become, and then we get to see him do the Sarazanmai dance and song thing, and it was glorious.
I skipped it.
You motherfucker. I haven't skipped a damn thing in this episode, in this show, because I'm so afraid I'm gonna miss something.
Oh my god.
It's changed or something. I don't know. But in this, so Reo extracts his Shirikadama, and we, in the leaguing scene, we find out what the condition was that that allowed Mabu to be resurrected. And it was that Mabu could never again express his love to Reo, which is why Mabu seemed like a fucking doll the whole time after he got resurrected.
Plot twist! Oh my god.
Dun dun dun!
But actually, though, it was a pretty big plot twist.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh my god, he's
this
the
is
real
why.
thing. He's the real one. He's a real boy.
He's a real boy, just like Pinocchio. No, not really.
He's got wood like Pinocchio.
Whoa. That otter wood.
He's a Kappa. Goddamn racist.
Nah, that was a huge plot twist right at the end, and it's like, well, Reo's like, well, fuck.
Reo's like, well, I'm done with life because I regret all my
I regret
decisions.
everything. I
No,
regret
but
all of my decisions at this point. I am so wrong. Fucking kill me now.
I mean, I thought that was also another interesting thought experiment. I mean, we've talked about how it would be an interesting dilemma to want to be resurrected as a, or have your significant other be resurrected as um, a cloned, or was it, or a copied,
Yeah,
a
copy.
copied version of them, and whether you'd want that or not. I thought this was also similar. It's like, would you go through what Mabu? Would you accept the deal from the otter scientists?
Yeah, if the whole reason that you were resurrected is, for your significant other, but the condition was that you could never express any sort of love towards your significant other again, is that a fair trade-off for your resurrection? Again, as I said before, I'd say no.
I would say yes.
Wow.
But
You
actually,
selfish cunt.
I know it's so selfish, but and which also brings back to the whole thing that Reo has been calling Mabu selfish all this time. And he is selfish for different reasons, not for why Reo thought he was.
Yes. It's, yeah, again, another great thought experiment and another more just great symbology through these characters. There's just so much going on with these two who we didn't even know anything about until like episode 6 or 7.
Now we finally understand them. And
I
now
know.
one of them has died and the other one's on the way.
Well, okay, so wrapping this up, after the fight is over, they're all back on like this bridge together, which a lot happens around this bridge in this city.
It's like the emblematic bridge of Asakusa, I think.
Basically, yeah. And so after all of this, we have Reo is using his, I don't even know if it's actually a gun. It starts shooting lasers and shit.
Well, first of all, he takes out the Shirikodama from Mabu, and then he forgets about Mabu. And then...
Yeah, he starts forgetting about Mabu. He has like
Yeah.
this breakdown about, he knows that he's forgotten something, but he can't figure out what it is.
Yeah.
And then he sees like this little pin that's got his name on it. Says Mabu on it, and then he has like a fucking psychotic break, and he starts just shooting everything around him with his little laser, his gun, which has turned crazily into a laser gun.
I like
just
how
starts blowing shit up around
it
him.
like flicks between like grief, anger, and then it's like... Pew, pew.
Yeah.
It's pretty
Well,
pretty
it's
cool.
almost like, you know what it is? He's going through stages of grief, like all at once. He's going through like all the stages of grief all at once.
Sure.
And so starts shooting at Kazuki and Enta and Kepi. He actually hits Kepi and he falls over like, It's like, oh, have you actually killed Kepi this time? But he's not dead. And he's like, and Kazuki now has the golden dish because they have collected 5 dishes of hope. And I think there's like this part of Reo that's like, I can use the golden dish to get Mabu back. And you think that's what's going to happen. And then, of course, as this is happening, Enta's timer is slowly creeping back towards 0. And then all of a sudden, you hear a fucking shot ring out, and you immediately think, oh my god, Reo has shot Kazuki to get this dish. And then the camera like pans down and you see that Reo has like fucking blood spilling out of his chest. And he's like, my chest hurts. I don't feel so good, Mr. Stark. He falls down and you find out that it's fucking Toei behind him that just shot him in the fucking chest. And Toei is like, Kazuki, give me the fucking golden dish. And then his timer is reaching 0 and it's like a fucking episode of 24.
And then
And
the
screen fades
ending
to
starts
black.
playing.
No. And then the fucking timer goes 10, 9, 8, 7, and it goes all the way to 3, 2, 1. And then it's the fucking fades to black. And the end title card comes up and says, I want to connect, but I can't.
That's so...
And then you're like,
that's
oh,
so
fuck.
impactful. That's so like such a simple statement. I can't, but it's so
Yeah,
impactful.
but I can't. And then you think, oh my god, what a great cliffhanger. And then the after credit scene happens, and Enta's awake and alert, and he's back in his regular body. He's not a Kappa anymore. And the implication obviously is that at the very last second, Kazuki wished for Enta to be better. And he is. And then Toei has, much like Ryo, has a sort of psychotic break. And then Dark Kepi appears, and then like Dark Kepi absorbs Toei into him. And it's like, just so much happens in like a span of 5 minutes.
Yeah, there's a lot that happened in this episode.
It was literally like the last 5 minutes of episode 10 was literally like watching like the last 5 minutes of like a season finale of 24. Like shit's happening all over. We got characters dying. We got so much shit.
And then at the end, Toei hallucinates Chikai and is like, basically, he's overcome with grief and just commits suicide by going into the Dark Kepi.
Yeah.
So much suicide.
And then you're kind of left wondering, well, what happens now?
So much sadness.
What a great way to end like the penultimate episode of this show, to go in with so much like excitement.
I mean, it's really getting on the borderline of being a bit too surreal with all these concepts that it's losing me a little, but
you still want to see where it's going.
No. It's such a common trope that like everything explodes at the end of a show, especially a show that is focused on like characters.
Mm-hmm.
And then the climax is usually like a physical climax, not an emotional climax. And this looks like it's going to be a physical climax. And I'm not about it. I want an emotional climax, not exploding fucking dark
cities.
Kappas and bridges.
You know what? You could the show, as we have seen through this journey so far, the show has surprised you multiple times. It may yet surprise you again.
It better.
Well, we still have one episode to find out, but until that episode, thank you all there for dropping in to listen to us. We hope you enjoyed it, because we always enjoy bringing this to you. If you want to check out previous episodes of the podcast, you can find us on YouTube, SoundCloud, iTunes, Spotify. If you want to keep up with what we're doing, you can join us on Discord, Facebook, Twitter, and our website. Shoot us an email if you have any questions or comments, or if you have any ideas for topics you would like for us to talk about in the future. Links to all of these things will be down below in the description. And don't forget to tell us what you thought of episode 10 of Sarazanmai down below in the comments. As always, I have been your host, Alex, and I will see you next time for the final Sarazanmai episode review. Say goodnight, show.
My dish is itchy.
And on that note, good night, everybody.